scrappy fabrics.
Yeah.
Because it's a good way of using up your scrap stash as well. But I always try and do a test piece. Now when you come to do the double 4 block, what I did with the piece was have 2 different fabrics in the block. But you don't have to, you can have both the same, because within your layer cake you've got 2 of everything.
Oh, great.
So you could double it up if you wanted to, because you're going to cut a 5.5 inch square, so obviously you can't cut 2 out of 1 block.
Got you.
At 1 piece. So the first thing I did was, not with a clip, because
I've just noticed that now.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's this block right here that we're talking about, this one here. And I mean, I love anything that's divided on the diagonal, don't you?
Yeah, I just think it makes your eye flow through the quilt when you've got a line to follow.
Yeah, agreed.
But I did the other thing I did with the design, and there were loads of turnings around of blocks. I did it so that those diagonals followed, if you like, top left to bottom right.
One way, yeah.
But the rest of the diagonals in the other block went the opposite way. So that you've got this cross almost going on, but you can move the blocks around. I mean, mine is just an idea. You can go with the flow.
It's
what suits you.
There's lovely movement in that quilt because of that diagonal, but it's something you can play with, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, mine's only a suggestion. So I'm going to cut a 5.5 inch strip to start with.
And that's through 2 layers.
I've cut my 2 at once, yes. And then I'm going to turn it round and going to cut another 5.5 inch, and that gives me my 5.5 inch square that I need. Okay, so that's that bit done. Then I need some 3 inch squares, and I need 4 of each one. Do I need 4 of each one? I need 2 of each one. What am I talking about? So there isn't 6 inches there, so it makes sense to use this because that leaves me a bigger piece to play with for something else. So I cut a 3 inch strip, which again leaves me a bit that I can use for a border, extra border if I wanted to, and then I subcut this one down to my 3 inch squares.
So I see what you're doing here. You're trying to keep as large a piece of intact fabric. If it's going to be scrap in inverted commas, it's going to be the biggest piece or the longest piece it can be.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
So all of that is spare, and all of that I then incorporate into the border if I want to.
Binding,
but you don't have
whatever.
to. Yeah.
Great.
Yep. So we've got our pieces of this, and I've gone ahead and cut the squares of the magenta as well, and I think this really makes everything else pop.
It's so zingy.
And again, you can mix and match. I mean, I've chosen in the original pattern to put like with like, but if you want to, mix it up.